The moment I got the call from the school, my heart dropped. My disabled daughter, Lily, had been found shaking in her classroom while her teacher, Karen, stood over her, snapping, "If you can't keep up, then don't be here." I could practically hear Lily's quiet sobs through the phone, and something inside me shattered. When I rushed into the school hallway, the other kids were whispering, the teachers were avoiding eye contact, and the air felt heavy, like everyone knew something I didn't. But what none of them expected was that Lily wasn't alone. As I pushed open the classroom door, another set of footsteps echoed behind me. The veteran father, a man built like a wall, who'd heard the commotion and came running. And the moment he walked in and saw what Karen had done, everything in that classroom changed forever. Before I take you deeper into this story, I want to talk directly to the incredible people watching this. Which city are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments below. I love seeing how far this community reaches across the country. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another story that brings truth, justice, and courage into the light. Now, let's begin. Lily has always been the quiet heart of our home, a gentle, disabled child who sees the world in colors and sounds most people overlook. Every morning when she wheels into class, she carries a bravery that adults twice her age fail to ever find. So, when the school assured me she had the perfect teacher this year, I believe them. I believe them because Karen looked so polished, so confident, so experienced, someone who supposedly understood patience and compassion. But as the days passed, I sensed something was off. Lily's drawings grew darker. Her voice grew softer. Her eyes didn't sparkle the way they used to. And every time I asked her what happened in class, she'd say, "Nothing, I'm just tired." I should have known. I should have listened harder. Because behind that classroom door, something cruel was growing, something that would push Karen far beyond the line of what a teacher should ever be. And when a veteran father, battle-trained, disciplined, and fiercely protective, happened to walk past at the exact moment Lily needed help most, the truth about Karen's behavior didn't just come out, it exploded into the light. The school wasn't prepared for what happened next, and neither was Karen. The first real sign that something was wrong happened on a Wednesday morning, one of those deceptively calm school days where the sky is clear, the halls are quiet, and you convince yourself everything is finally settling down. I remember walking Lily to class, her small hand gripping mine tightly, her eyes darting nervously toward the room where teacher Karen stood, waiting with her arms crossed. Lily had always been timid around new adults, but this was different. Her body stiffened the moment Karen's heels clicked against the tile. "Good morning, Lily," Karen said, her voice too sweet, like she was forcing a smile that didn't belong on her face. The moment I turned to leave, Lily whispered, "Daddy, don't go yet." That sentence hit me in the chest. She never said that. She loved school. But before I could ask anything, Karen swooped in, placing her hand firmly on Lily's wheelchair handle. "We're fine," she said, gently pushing Lily inside, but with a grip that felt off, tight, rushed, impatient. I took a step back, watching the door close, my gut twisting in a way I couldn't explain. I told myself I was overthinking, but I wasn't. Not even close. The second sign came the next day, when Lily came home with tear stains dried on her cheeks. She tried to hide them by rubbing her face quickly, but I noticed, "Did someone say something to you?" I asked. She shook her head. "Did a kid bother you?" She shook her head again. "Did your teacher?" She didn't answer that one, just pressed her lips together, eyes dropping to the floor. When I leaned down to hug her, she clung harder than usual, like she was afraid to let go. That night she didn't sleep. She kept waking up gasping, saying, I'm sorry, I'll be faster tomorrow." Faster? Faster at what? Drawing? Reading? Breathing? I didn't know. But whatever it was, my daughter was apologizing as if she had committed a crime. That alone was enough to make my heartbeat change rhythm. By Friday morning, the truth began forcing its way into the light. I was standing outside Lily's classroom door, waiting for dismissal, when I heard it. Karen's sharp voice slicing through the room. "No, Lily. I said stop. Why can't you listen the first time?" The class went silent. I froze. My hand tightened on the door handle, but I forced myself not to barge in. "Not yet. I heard shuffling, paper being ripped, chairs dragging. Then Karen again, louder this time. Do you want the whole class waiting on you again? Is that it? Are you trying to ruin everyone's day? My jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. What could Lily have done? What could justify talking to any child that way? But especially to a child like her, a gentle kid who apologizes even when she bumps into a table. When the bell rang, students poured out of the classroom. Some looked away when they passed me, others bit their lips like they wanted to say something but couldn't. And when Lily finally rolled out, her hands were shaking. She didn't look up at me, didn't smile, didn't say anything. She just whispered, "Can we go home?" On the drive back, she stared out the window, flinching every time a car horn honked or someone spoke too loudly. I tried asking again, "Did something happen?" She swallowed hard and said, "I'm slow. I made her mad." That sentence shattered something inside me. My daughter, who tries harder than anyone, who fights every day to keep up, who pushes through pain and fear, thought she deserved to be yelled at. That's the moment I knew something was terribly wrong. But the real trigger, the moment everything snapped into focus, came later that afternoon when I checked her backpack. Inside, crumpled and torn, was a worksheet she had been working on in class. Her answers were neat, written slowly but carefully. But across the top of the page, in thick red marker, were Karen's words, "Do better." Not a circle, not a check, not guidance, a command, a dismissal, a slap on paper. And the worst part? The marker strokes were so heavy they ripped through the sheet. Lily must have seen that, felt that, believed that. That evening, I emailed the school requesting a meeting with Karen. They didn't respond. The next morning, I called the office. They said, "We'll look into it." Nothing. Hours passed. Nothing. By lunchtime, I was pacing the living room, replaying Lily's cracked voice saying, "I'm sorry I'm slow." No child should ever think that. And no teacher should ever make a disabled child apologize for existing at their own pace. I didn't care if the school ignored me. I was going to the classroom myself. So I drove to the school, my pulse pounding, my breath sharp and shallow. When I turned the corner toward Lily's hallway, I noticed something unusual. Someone else was there, standing near the door. A tall man with broad shoulders, military posture, calm but alert, a veteran's cap on his head, his service dog lying quietly beside him, ears perked, watching the classroom like it sensed something. I recognized him, Ethan Miller, father of another student, decorated veteran, respected, quiet, but he had that look in his eyes, the look of someone who knows how to detect danger before others see it. I approached slowly. "You waiting for someone?" I asked. He didn't look away from the door. "Heard something earlier," he said. "Didn't sound right. Thought I'd stay close." My stomach tightened. Was it the teacher? He nodded once, jaw clenched. "She snapped at your daughter." Loud. Loud enough my dog stood up. That's when I heard it too. A faint, muffled sound from inside, Lily's voice. Soft, frightened. Then Karen's voice, sharp and cold, slicing through the air like a blade. "I'm done repeating myself. Lily, look at me when I'm talking to you." Something inside me broke. Ethan's dog stood immediately, growling deep in its throat. Ethan's eyes hardened. And that was the moment everything began. The moment two fathers, one broken, one battle-trained, realized the teacher had crossed a line she could never uncross. The moment Ethan and I stood outside that classroom door, everything inside shifted. The tone of Karen's voice, the trembling in Lily's breathing, the eerie stillness from the rest of the class. I could feel the tension through the walls like static electricity tightening around us. Then, without warning, Karen's voice cracked through the room like a whip. "If you don't get this right, Lily, I swear I'm not repeating myself again. Do you hear me?" Her words weren't just sharp, they were venomous, layered with frustration no child should ever be forced to absorb. Especially mine. Ethan's jaw flexed, his veteran instincts flicking on like a switch as he leaned closer to the door, head tilted, listening. His service dog's ears shot straight up, body rigid with alertness. And then we heard it, a thud, a gasp, and Lily's tiny, trembling voice pleading, "Please, please don't yell at me." My heart stopped. I didn't wait. I slammed my hand on the doorknob, but it didn't budge. Locked. Karen had locked the classroom door. A cold, sickening wave washed over me. Why would a teacher lock the door during class? What was she hiding? Ethan didn't hesitate. His voice boomed through the wood. Karen, open the door. Now. His tone wasn't a request. It was the command of a man who'd spent years in uniform protecting people like my daughter. Inside, chairs scraped. Papers rustled. Karen hissed, low but audible. You're not going home until you finish this, Lily. I don't care how long it takes. My hands shook so violently I could barely form a fist. I pounded the door again. Open it. I can hear my daughter crying. But Karen didn't respond. Instead came another sound, a heavy object being dragged across the floor. A chair. She was blocking the door. Ethan's eyes darkened with a calm, dangerous focus I had only seen in soldiers on television. He stepped back, evaluating the hinges, the angle, the weak points. She's barricading it, he muttered. This teacher is out of control. Another muffled sob inside made every muscle in my body scream to break the door down. Why are you mad at me? Lily choked out. And then Karen snapped, truly snapped. Because you slow everyone down. Because you're always behind. Because you make everything harder. A thick silence followed. The kind that feels like all the oxygen has been sucked out of the room. Kids inside audibly shifted, frightened, whispering. One voice, a student, whispered shakily, Miss Karen, she's crying, and Karen shot back. Then she needs to learn to keep up like everyone else. Ethan didn't wait another second. He called out sharply, Kids, step away from the door. Then he planted his boot against the frame and kicked hard. The wood groaned. Chairs inside scraped frantically. Karen shouted, Don't you dare, as another loud sob escaped from Lily. Ethan kicked again, this time cracking the frame. The school hallway began to fill with staff, drawn by the noise but frozen by Ethan's explosive authority. Another teacher stammered, What's going on? Ethan didn't take his eyes off the door. Your coworker locked herself in with a terrified, disabled child. Stay back. The teacher paled. On the third kick, the door burst open violently, the barricading chair skidding across the floor. And the sight we saw inside made my blood run cold. Karen stood over Lily, towering, red-faced, hair disheveled, fists clenched. Lily sat frozen in her wheelchair, tears streaming down her cheeks, her workbook ripped, crumpled papers around her feet, red marker lines slashed angrily across the board. The entire class huddled at the back of the room, silent, terrified. One student whispered, Please don't yell anymore. Karen spun around, startled, her eyes wide, not with fear, but with rage. You had an right to break in here, she screamed, pointing a trembling finger at us. This is MY classroom. My rules. Ethan's voice dropped, so low it shook the air. You locked the door. You blocked it. You threatened a disabled child. His service dog stood in front of him, growling protectively. I rushed to Lily, dropping to my knees. She grabbed my shirt and sobbed into my shoulder. I'm sorry, Daddy. I tried to be fast. I held her so tightly she could feel my heartbeat pounding against her ear. Baby, you never have to be fast. You just have to be safe. Karen paced in circles, frantic and muttering, You're overreacting. She's dramatic. I didn't do anything wrong. This is insane. They are insane. Ethan stepped forward. Karen, step away from the child. Karen turned on him with wild eyes. What are you going to do? You think you scare me? Ethan didn't blink, didn't move, didn't raise his voice. He just said, Ma'am, you need to step away, now. Something in his tone, calm but commanding, like a storm held on a leash, made even the students shrink further back. For a split second, Karen's bravado cracked, and in that tiny flicker of hesitation, the truth became undeniable to everyone in the room. This teacher wasn't acting like a teacher. She was acting like someone losing control of her own mind. But she wasn't finished, not even close, because what she said next shifted the entire story into a direction none of us expected. She deserved it, Karen spat. Your daughter deserved every word. And if you knew what she did, she pointed a shaking finger at Lily. You'd be thanking me. The room fell into dead silence. Even Ethan froze. My arms tightened around my daughter. What are you talking about? I demanded. Karen's lips curled into a bitter, twisted smile. Ask her. Ask your perfect little girl what she's been hiding. And just like that, the real storm began. The moment Karen uttered those poisonous words, ask your perfect little girl what she's been hiding, the entire classroom felt like it tilted sideways, as if gravity itself shifted under the weight of accusation. Lily stiffened in my arms, her small fingers gripping my shirt so tightly they trembled. She shook her head rapidly, tears dripping onto her lap, her breathing turning shallow and panicked. No, I didn't do anything. I didn't, she whispered, her voice breaking apart like glass. I cupped her face gently. Baby, you don't have to explain anything. You're safe now. But Karen wasn't done, not even close. She took a step toward us. Her face twisted with a mix of resentment and something darker, something disturbed. Oh, she'll explain, she hissed. She's been sabotaging my class, making a fool out of me, pretending she can't do things, acting helpless. You think I don't know manipulation when I see it? Ethan stepped between her and Lily instantly, his broad frame becoming a wall of protection. Back up, he said firmly. You need to calm down. But Karen laughed, an unhinged, breathless sound that made the students flinch. Calm down? Calm down. I've been patient. I've been giving her chances. And every single time, she slows us down on purpose. She looks at me with those eyes, those pitiful eyes, and expects me to feel sorry for her. My stomach dropped. My daughter, who apologizes when the wind blows too hard, being accused of manipulation? It was insanity. And yet, Karen's voice kept rising, unraveling more and more. She does things when no one is looking, Karen seethed. She drops materials on the floor. She pretends she doesn't understand simple tasks. She makes the other students slow down, and then gives me that innocent look, like I'm the villain. One student, a little boy near the back, whispered shakily, Miss Karen, she didn't do anything. Karen whirled around so fast he recoiled. Silence. Ethan's service dog growled again, low and threatening. Ethan stepped forward. You're done, he said, his voice solid as steel. This stops now. Karen snapped her attention back to us. Her hands shook. Her breathing was erratic. She looked like a person whose mask had finally cracked open after months of pressure. You think she's fragile, she spat, pointing at Lily. But I know her type. Quiet kids are the worst. They pretend. They manipulate. They seek pity. And I won't let my classroom revolve around her needs. My fists curled so tight my nails dug into my palms. She's disabled. I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of heartbreak and fury. She tries harder than anyone here. She pushes herself every single day just to keep up. She doesn't manipulate. She doesn't pretend. She fights. But Karen shook her head so violently her hair whipped across her face. No, 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 no. She's not special. She's not fragile. She's a distraction. And everyone knows it. Gasps spread through the room. A few children started crying. Another teacher, standing at the doorway, covered her mouth in shock. Ethan took a step closer to Karen, not threatening, just firm, authoritative, like someone dealing with a civilian on the brink of breakdown. You're unwell, he said quietly. You need to step away from these children before you hurt someone. Karen's face twisted. I didn't hurt her, she shrieked. I never touched her. I only pushed her to do better, to try harder, to stop using her disability as an excuse. Lily broke into sobs, burying her face in my chest. I tried, Daddy. I tried so hard. I stroked her back, swallowing back the burn of tears in my throat. I know, sweetheart. I know. Karen kept pacing, muttering, unraveling. Every day it's something. She comes in late. She moves slow. She needs extra help. The other kids stare. Everyone thinks I'm the problem. Me. I'm the one under pressure. I'm the one being evaluated. I have 40 minutes to teach them everything they need. And she jabbed her finger toward Lily, makes my job impossible. Ethan's voice hardened. You don't talk about a child like that. Karen snapped back. You don't know what it's like in here. You don't know the pressure I face. Everyone expects miracles but gives me broken pieces to work with. My vision blurred with rage. My daughter is not a broken piece. Karen froze at my words. For the first time, just a flicker of guilt crossed her face, then vanished, replaced by something even more unsettling. She ruined everything, Karen whispered. My lesson plans, my classroom flow, my evaluations. Parents complain about me because she slows everything down. She clasped her hands over her head, pacing faster, her breaths becoming shorter. And today she spilled water on the assignment sheets. She said it was an accident, but I know it wasn't. She wanted to set me off. She wanted to make me look bad. Ethan frowned. I was right outside the door. I heard everything. The only person losing control in this room was you, not her. Karen stopped pacing. Her shoulders trembled. Tears of rage spilled over her cheeks. Not sadness, not guilt, but frustration twisted into madness. You don't understand, she screamed. You people don't understand what it's like to be pushed to your limit. Ethan's voice softened. Then you should have asked for help, not taken it out on a child. That sentence pierced through whatever fragile barrier Karen had left. She went still, completely still. Then in a voice so cold it felt like ice on skin, she whispered, she deserved it. The entire room exhaled in horror. Even the students shrank back, clutching each other. My heart pounded so violently, I felt dizzy. Why? I forced out. Why would you say that about a child, my child? Karen's lips curled into a trembling, unstable smile. Because she embarrassed me. The words hung in the air like poison. Ethan took a deep breath. Karen, step away from the children. But Karen shook her head. No, I want him to hear the truth. I want him to know his daughter isn't the innocent angel he thinks she is. My stomach twisted. What truth? Karen's eyes flicked to Lily. Tell him, she said. Tell your father what you did. Lily sobbed harder, shaking her head violently, clinging to me like she was terrified of losing me. I didn't do anything, she cried. Karen's voice rose into a near scream. Yes, you did. You know what you did. Ethan raised a hand toward Karen in warning, but she didn't notice. She was unraveling completely. And then she said it. She caused the accident last week. The one that got me written up. Don't lie. Lily gasped, her eyes widening, her breath catching painfully in her throat. No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. Karen pointed at her again, shaking, trembling, desperate. You bumped into my desk. You knocked the projector. You made it crash. You made me look incompetent. Ethan spoke sharply. She uses a wheelchair. She couldn't have reached your projector. Karen froze, shocked, caught, exposed. And for the first time, she realized the entire room knew it too. But instead of stopping, instead of apologizing, instead of stepping back, Karen did something none of us expected. She walked slowly toward her desk drawer and pulled it open. The entire room held its breath, because inside that drawer was the next twist no one saw coming. The next morning, I walked into the school, not as a confused parent seeking answers, but as a father ready for justice. Justice for Lily, for every tear she shed, for every moment she'd been made to feel small. The air in the building felt different, tighter, as if everyone could sense the storm that was about to break. Ethan met me at the entrance, the tablet in his hand, jaw set with the determined calm of a man who had walked into far worse confrontations and survived. Ready, he asked? I nodded. We walked down the hallway together, each step echoing like footsteps toward a reckoning. When we entered the administrative office, the principal and 3 board members were already seated, their faces tense, the weight of the previous day still hanging over them like smoke. We received your email, the principal said stiffly. You mentioned video evidence. Ethan stepped forward and placed the tablet on the table. Not just evidence, he said. The truth. With a single tap, the footage began playing, and the room fell silent except for the small, haunting sounds of children working, Karen teaching, and the soft thud of the projector hitting the floor. Then came the moment that changed everything. Mason nudging the cord, the equipment falling, Lily flinching, and Mason instantly pointing at her, shouting accusations with practiced ease. The board leaned forward, eyes wide, guilt washing over their faces as they watched the child they assumed was disruptive, a disabled girl who couldn't defend herself, get blamed for something she never did. When the video ended, the room sat in stunned silence. My heart pounded, my hands trembling with a mix of vindication and heartbreak. Finally, the principal exhaled, long and heavy. "We failed her," she whispered. "We failed your daughter. And we failed to protect her from one of our own." Her voice cracked, genuine, remorseful. "But I wasn't there for apologies. What are you going to do about it?" I asked sharply. Ethan crossed his arms, his presence solid and unyielding beside me. The board members exchanged glances before the head of the board spoke. "Karen will be placed on immediate administrative leave, pending psychological evaluation and disciplinary action. After watching this footage, dismissal is almost certain." It wasn't satisfaction I felt, just a quiet, aching relief that the nightmare was finally being recognized. But then came the question that had been gnawing at me since last night. "And what about Mason?" I asked. The board members paused, visibly uncomfortable. "We've known Mason to be impulsive," one admitted. "But this is deceitful, harmful, dangerous." Ethan stepped in. "Karen said something last night, something about his home life." The room froze. The principal's expression changed, like she knew something she'd been trying to ignore. "We've received reports," she murmured cautiously. "But without proof, our hands were tied." My stomach twisted. "Reports of what?" The principal swallowed. "Aggression, emotional instability, fear of going home, bruises he claimed were from sports." Ethan and I exchanged a heavy look, the kind that said everything without a word. "Someone needs to talk to him," I said firmly. "Someone needs to protect him before he becomes the next Karen or something worse." The principal nodded, standing up. "I'll arrange counseling and a home evaluation immediately. You have my word." As we stepped out of the office, teachers whispered in the hallway. Not rumors, truth finally spreading. Some looked ashamed, some angry, some relieved the secret was out. But none of that mattered to me as much as what came next, telling Lily. I walked to her classroom. Now, quieter, softer, a different teacher standing at the door with gentle eyes. When I crouched beside Lily, she reached out for me immediately, her voice small but hopeful. "Daddy, am I in trouble?" My heart shattered all over again. "No, sweetheart," I whispered, brushing her hair back. "You were never in trouble. You were brave. So brave." She looked up confused. "Miss Karen said—" "Miss Karen was wrong," I said firmly. "And everyone knows it now." I took her tiny hand and squeezed it gently. "They know the truth. They saw the video. They know you didn't do anything wrong." Her eyes filled with tears, relief this time, not fear. She leaned forward, hugging me in a way that told me she'd been holding tension in her little body for far too long. Over her shoulder, Ethan stood a few feet away, watching with a soft, protective smile. He gave me a small nod as if saying she's safe now. But the story didn't end there, because as we walked down the hallway to leave early, a small voice called out, "Lily?" We turned to see Mason standing near the lockers, eyes puffy, hands shaking, a bruise blooming dark on his arm. My heart clenched. He looked terrified, not of Lily, not of us, but of whatever waited for him at home. He stepped toward her slowly, guilt weighing down his small shoulders. I'm sorry," he whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't mean for it to get that bad. He sniffed, wiping his eyes. "My dad gets mad when I mess up. Really mad. I thought if I blamed someone else, I wouldn't get in trouble." Lily looked at him with those big, forgiving eyes only children seem to have. "It's okay," she whispered softly. Mason shook his head. "No, it's not. You didn't deserve that." I knelt beside him. "Mason," I said gently, "the school is going to help you. You're not in trouble. You're not alone." His lower lip trembled. "Promise." Ethan stepped forward, crouching to Mason's level, his voice steady and warm. "I'm a veteran," he said. "I know what promises mean." And I'm telling you right now, you're going to be okay. Mason's eyes widened, not in fear, but in something he hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. Later that afternoon, after the school counselor and child services were notified, after the principal personally apologized to Lily and promised her a new support team, after Ethan shook my hand and said, "Anytime you need me, I'm there," I carried Lily to the car, her head resting on my shoulder. As I buckled her in, she whispered, "Daddy?" "Yeah, baby. Can I go to school tomorrow?" Tears filled my eyes, not from pain this time, but from pride. "Yes," I said softly, "because now everything is different." And as I drove home, the sun setting behind us, painting the sky in soft gold, I realized something important. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't dramatic. Justice was quiet, like the steady heartbeat of a child finally freed from fear. Justice was the truth being seen, heard, believed. Justice was a veteran father stepping in when the world looked away. Justice was a broken teacher facing her failures instead of hiding them. Justice was a troubled boy being given a chance to heal. Justice was Lily smiling again. And for the first time in what felt like forever, the world felt right. If this story moved you, made your heart ache, or reminded you how important it is to stand up for the innocent, then I want to speak directly to you. Stories like this happen in real life, every single day, and your voice matters more than you think. Before you go, drop the name of your city in the comments so our community can see how far these messages travel. And if you want more stories of courage, justice, and truth, then hit that subscribe button right now. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Let's keep going together.